With ship duels out of the way, we focus now on UFO duels. Now, they aren't as hard as ship duels, but they are a very slippery slope to make duels with. UFO duels, they're very fragile, so I don't recommend making them if you're a beginner. However, if you have a good understanding of how the UFO works, especially in duel, then I think that you will probably make a really good UFO duel. And it's a pretty underrated type of duel to make. A lot of people don't tend to do it, and when they do, they don't really use it to its full potential. They just kind of do the thing where one's mini and one's big, and then they cross over. But there's generally a few things you can do when making an asymmetrical UFO duel. Let me show some. So, one reason why making UFO duel is so hard is that one, you can just hop over a lot of obstacles and then just cheese your way through it. And it's really hard to stop that, because every time you try to stop that, it just becomes like, oh, well, you die to a random saw blade that you placed there so that people don't cheese it, and now your thing's like a 60 hertz frame perfect. Which is why UFO duels are very hard to make. So you can do something like this, where one's mini. I've never actually done this type of transition before, but you could do it if both duels are separated. However, it's as you can see, a slippery slope. Just pretend that it works. Who cares? Just don't tap on that. I can't think of a good transition at the moment, but I'm putting it there just for example. So you could do something like this. Something like this is pretty simple to do, right? However, see this little space here? You can just do that, right? Of course, I haven't added any things to make sure you don't do that. So let's add those. Alright, so let's say you have this. Let's test. See, it works well. However, sometimes the saw blade can actually cause problems more than help you out. So, yeah, we could cheese it like this, right? How do you stop that? You could use a trigger orb, but I'll go over trigger orbs in UFO later. However, sometimes you may want to do something like this, where you raise the saw blade up, and then and let's say that this was raised up a bunch, then it would just become like really hard. That's why UFO duels are very difficult to make. See, like, even then, sometimes you could just cheese it. And then you have to do lots of fixes and make sure that you can do it properly. Anyways, now that we have the crossing thing done, we can do a thing. It's called the alternating UFO jump. Now this one is really rare to find. I think the only time I've seen it happen was in my own levels. That's literally the only time I've ever seen it. But basically, it's the same concept. Let me build one. While I was building, I should mention that you probably need a divider so that you don't cheese it. So I'm adding this saw blade here, and this black orb. And while we're adding the black orbs, we should probably put them to a group like group 2, where you have them sort of translucent, so that you know they're there, but they don't interfere with the decoration and shit. And even though it's the layout, it's just for tips if you want to add stuff like that. Anyways, so the thing about UFO duels is that both jump at the same time. So if you're trying to make one, I suggest using these. Or the trigger orbs or black orbs both do the same thing, but black orbs are a bit better because they shoot you down. So that's kind of why I prefer using black orbs, but trigger orbs are also good. Alright, now we have our alternating UFO jump. I honestly think this is one of my favorite types of alternating jumps. I really like it. Anyways, so now that we have our alternating jump, dash orbs work well, but, you know, I might do dash orb ideas in future layouts, not in this one. So let's say we have this done, right? We have our alternating jump. There's one gimmick that I've only used once in my level, and I've never seen anyone else do it. Here, let me give you an example. Alright, so something like this works. I've only done this gimmick once, where you do this. I have never seen anyone else use it, but this is such a cool gimmick to use, and I really recommend this for making your UFO duels. I always recommend doing that because, it's so unique. It puts a spin on the alternating jump. That's why I think that it's a very good thing to do in your UFO duels. So, yeah. So when you're you could do more stuff with UFO. I made this very hard on myself because I made one mini, but that's just to show you that you can do lots of things. Like the crossing over part, I just didn't bother to make them both big again, but I don't really care. We did the whole gimmick thing right here, and yeah, it's a very good gimmick to use. Now that we're done with that, is there anything else you can do with a UFO duel? You can use dash orbs, but it gets complicated at that point. It requires lots and lots of dummy proofing. So these three things are generally things that you should focus on when making a UFO duel. But other than that, just stick to the first 4 game modes because UFO duels are still really difficult to make.